beautiful people, welcome to episode 17, and in this episode of Credit 101, we're going to talk about the Vantage score. I know we talked about Fico before, but the Vantage score is kind of different. So I want us to know the difference between a FICO and a Vantage score, because a lot of people always say, well, Credit Karma says this and my FICO says this. So I want to talk to you guys about the Vantage, because Vantage is what Credit Karma uses. So Vantage score was first introduced in 2006, and they have three separate versions. They have the Vantage 2.0, Vantage 3.0, and then Vantage 4.0. So with the Vantage 2.0, their credit score is from a 501 to a 990. Okay, so the different companies can use different models. They can pick which one they want to use. Same thing with FICO. You have all the different FICOs. They can pick which FICO they want to use. Now with the Vantage 3.0 and 4.0, which is what Credit Karma uses, their credit score go from a 300 to an 850. Okay, now they have different levels. So they got A, B, C, D, and F's, just like a schooling model. Like, you know, we're in school, they have different grades. They have a different grading model for them. So if you want to get an A, and this is with the previous 2.0 too. So if you want to get an A, your credit score needs to be between a 900 and a 990. If you want to get a B, you have to have at least an 800 to an 889, also 899. Also a C will be a 700 to a 799, a D 600 to 699, and then a D is 500 to 599. So understand that if you guys are having a, you know, you have an F, and then sometimes that B is still bad too, because don't forget this one is going all the way up to 999 compared to the 850 that I told you guys about. So you really, for this one, you really want to be in that B range and C at the least. Okay, so if you guys were to see certain models, I forgot what Wallet Hub uses, but you got to think about it. All those little third-party companies, they use some sort of Vantage. So you have to figure out what numbers they're going based off, so you can know which Vantage they're using, which Vantage score that they're using. So I want you guys to understand, you want to, if they're going all the way to 990, you want to have at least a C, and a C is still, you just passed. Okay, that's what that means. Now you have to figure out what actually affects your Vantage score. So late payments greatly affect your credit score. Late payments is like the number one thing, you guys, when it comes down to your Vantage score. If you guys get these late payments, it's going to hurt you all a lot. So make sure you guys don't have any late payments. Make sure all of your accounts are set up on auto pay, and we're going to get into all these juicy details, because I remember going through the cycle of having to refix things because I just didn't know the basics of like setting things up on auto pay. Also, the age of your accounts, the type of account you have, in your utilization, you guys. The utilization is how much you have available compared to how much you spent on your credit card. So how much your limit is. So make sure you guys keep your utilization down. I always tell people, don't spend more than 5% on their credit card, or at least don't let the credit bureaus know about it. Basically, when your due date is here, you pay it all but 5%. Okay, and that's going to keep you at the highest credit score possible. Also, something that mildly affected will be like your total balance compared to your debt. So that's going to mildly affect it. So they're going to look at all of your debt. I was just telling one of my clients, like, hey, if you want to get anything, try to get these things before you have a mortgage hit. Like if you want to get a car, try to get all these things before you have your mortgage hit, because your mortgage is going to drop your credit score most likely. And on top of that, you probably at your peak right now, okay, with your score. Because when that mortgage hits, you got to wait for your credit to readjust. And then plus you have more debt on your credit reports. So try to go ahead and get whatever you want to get before you get that mortgage. So your total debts is going to mildly affect it. Also, inquiries. Inquiries are going to drop your credit score a few points, but I always tell people inquiries, you know, probably like 3 to 7 points per inquiry. It's going to affect it. So try to get these inquiries removed. If they're not yours, you can simply just call the credit bureau and say, hey, excuse me, I have this inquiry on my credit report and I need to get this removed because it's not mine. Like, you guys need to remove this today. And they should remove it. Sometimes you're going to get some type of pushback saying, no, we're not going to do this. You can't do that. You got to send a letter in. We need some type of report. All you have to do is hang up and call back. Okay. Seriously, that's some serious gems right there. Also, with the Vantage 4.0, it also considers the trends. So when you guys are using a lot on your credit but paying it off. They can see the trends on, you know what? Every month she been doing this, or every other month she do this, she'll pay it off. Then the next month she'll max it out, or she'll keep a balance here. Or for the last few years, we've seen that this happened. That's trended data, and they're going to try to predict what your future is going to look like. So for the Vantage 4.0, they're going to say, okay, well, around this time, Rickita usually apply for credit cards. That's because she's going through this, or we'll know what she's going through, but this is usually what she do. So you might want to watch out, and it's going to drop your score because it's off trended data, okay? Again, inquiries are only going to lower your credit score a few points. You really need to focus on those late payments because that's going to really hurt you. And also, this is your Vantage credit score. This is not your FICO. This is the Vantage, okay? So understand that each one have certain things that they want to look at, but late payments and utilization is like the top one. Seriously, late payments and utilization. And this is episode 18. In this episode, we're going to talk about civil judgments, tax liens, and other debts on your credit reports. Now, when it comes down to judgments and tax liens, you guys have to understand that in 2017, the major credit bureaus started to remove these tax liens and civil judgments from our credit reports. And I say ours because you should not see these type of things on your credit reports. No one should, okay? And then in 2018, they announced that they would remove all tax liens. So if you guys did have a tax lien in your credit report, it got removed. And it should not be any on there now. So a lot of people may be concerned, like, oh my gosh, the tax lien is going to be on my credit reports. Don't worry, it's not going to be on there, okay? In 2018, they said they were not going to do it. And then the removal of debts that did not arise from a contract or agreement, those have to be removed also. So for those gym memberships, those library, any fines or fees you got, just ordinary fines, and then your traffic tickets, all of those different things were told to have to be removed from your credit report. So all three bureaus. So if you see these different things, you guys, you shouldn't at all. You need to call the credit bureaus right away and say, hey, you got this tax lien on my credit reports. You need to remove it, okay? Now, bankruptcies is a whole nother thing. Bankruptcy can still be on your credit reports, but there's a way of possibly removing your bankruptcy if it's reported inaccurately or if it's not yours. And we're going to talk about that later on in Credit 101, okay? And this is Credit 101, and this is episode 19. In this episode, we're going to talk about Experian Boost, and we're also going to talk about the Ultra FICO score. So I don't know if you guys heard about this. I tried the Experian Boost, and honestly, my credit score didn't go up that much. And that's probably because I already have things on my credit. Now, a lot of people that have a thin credit file, which is what this can really help for, they can use that Experian Boost, and hopefully it will increase their credit score, because that's all it is. It's adding trade lines onto your credit reports. And usually it may be, you know, some utility bills and things like that, your phone bill, and they need to get access to your bank account, which we're going to talk about that. So with creating the Ultra FICO scores, it was designed to raise your credit score. That's all it is. They wanted to make sure they create something that will actually raise your credit score. Both of these is going to need access to your banking history. So you have to give them access to your banking account. And I know you have to give them complete access. That they're going to go through your statements. The computer is going to pull out what it needs to pull out. And then they're going to have all this information. But then they'll say, okay, we see that you made so many payments. You're always paying your utility bill on here. You can always pay your phone bill. You have another thing. And they can add that as trade lines on your credit reports that could actually increase your credit score. Now, the FICO, the Ultra FICO, they're going to consider your checking account, your savings account, and then your money market account history. So they're going to go based off of your history in terms of your account. So even if you guys, like, I want you guys to understand this. Some people may be watching this like, this don't even apply to me. I'm not going to use it. A lot of times, even with credit, you guys, they were getting these things behind our back, and we didn't even know, you know, they were taking a lot of stuff into consideration. A lot of people didn't even know about their credit reports before. A lot of people started learning more about their credit reports when Credit Karma and things like that came out, where they can actually see it and know exactly what's on there, what's being reported. So we have to take these things into consideration and look at them and know exactly what's going on. Now, Experian is, like I said, is they're going to look at your utility bills or like phone bills. That's what they're going to look at, because that's what they're going to want to put on your credit reports with Experian Boost. I think mine probably went up like 7 points. I guess it's something 4 to 7. I don't know, because I'm starting to think 4, okay? But I just didn't think it was worth it. I gave them my banking history, and I didn't like that. And the reason why I'm telling you guys, like, you know, be careful is because with Equifax, they had a breach in 2017 and they keep having breaches. And I don't know if you guys heard about what happened in Vegas where their whole system was shut down. Hackers got it. Like, what happens when all your information is with them? So take that into consideration. Like, what if they get hacked again? All your information is going to be there. They have your complete banking history. They have your account number, your route number. They have all this information. So you want to make sure that your information is safe. Like I said, mine went up 47 points, so you have to decide if that's going to be worth it for you. And this is Credit 101, and this is episode 20. In this episode, I want to talk to you guys about Fannie Mae. If you guys don't know, Fannie Mae and Fannie Mac. So we're going to talk about both of those. If you guys have any questions, definitely let me know down in the comments. Now, if you guys don't know, Fannie Mac, they're a large government controlled company that buys a large percentages of mortgages. Please excuse that typo with large, but they buy a lot of mortgages, you guys. So that's what they do. If you guys don't know, that's who a lot of, like, if you go get a mortgage, they're going to most likely sell it. Okay. So keep that in mind. Okay. So to sell your mortgage to Fannie Mac, they must meet certain guidelines. So Fannie Mac, they have certain guidelines that you guys have to make sure that you meet. So one of them is that they require that their lenders use a FICO score. So they have to use a classic FICO score to measure your credit. Now, each bureau have their own thing. So this is the one that Equifax uses. They use the Beacon. And then also Experian use their Fair Isaac risk model. And then also TransUnion, they're using a FICO risk model. So each one, they have their own bureau that they're using. So they put requirements on there. Hey, for you to sell it to us, you have to make sure you pull this report. So keep that in mind, you guys. And also in 2022, as then, it requires you to have at least a 620 credit score, okay? And that's for fixed rate mortgages, and then a 640 for adjustable rate mortgages. Now, how everything is going right now, when it comes down to interest rates and all the fixed rates, adjustable rates, make sure you guys talk to a mortgage lender. If you guys need any suggestions on that, definitely call me, 833 Rickita. I can help you with that. Find you a good lender that can help you get approved. But this, you guys, think of this as like a conventional loan. You need to have a 620 credit score, okay? And then lenders could ask you for more. This is just the basic requirements. If they meet all these different things, and they can sell it to them. So that's the basic requirements. Let's go ahead and talk about FHA, because when it comes down to mortgages, we need to know about the score. That's what we care about. We don't really get into the real estate portion of it. We want to talk about the credit. The biggest thing is for you guys, they're going to pull your FICO score. You need to make sure you have a 620. This is Credit 101, and this is episode 21. In this episode, we're going to talk about the Federal Housing Administration, but it's also known as FHA. Just call it FHA. Nobody calls it by its other name. But this, you guys, is a part of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Okay, you guys? Now, I love the FHA because they require you to put less money down. We're going to talk about the requirements, and then also talk about the credit score requirements, because it's much lower than what I told you guys about the Fannie Mac. Fannie Mac, for conventional, they need you to have a 620 credit score, and your credit score can be much lower with FHA, all the way down to a 500 credit score. But it's certain things we need to learn about when you think of 500 credit score to get a mortgage, okay? So with the FHA, they insure mortgages to encourage people to make loans on these home mortgages. Now, when I say they insure it, you guys have a special insurance on your mortgage. Now, the thing is, you guys will have to pay PMI, and this is going to be your mortgage insurance, basically. That's why I always tell people, if you can put 20% down and you can avoid this. I've seen buyers pay an extra $150 per month. And that's a lot of money because they have to pay it for the lifetime of their loan. And with FHA, you cannot take that PMI out when you hit that 20%. You cannot do that. So I tell people to keep that in mind. If you can't put more money down, put more money down, because that's money that you're saving every month. I wish I did the calculations on there, but I know it's a lot of money. So you're going to have that special mortgage insurance, and it's basically, if you default on it, they're going to come in and pay the rest of it off. So it's kind of like them having insurance. It's like it's insurance. So it's kind of like them having insurance. It is insurance. Okay. Now they have a different criteria than Fannie Mac, depending on your credit score. That's what they're going to determine on what you have to put down. So if you guys have a credit score below a 580, which means, your credit's not the best, they can still give you a mortgage, but they require you to put 10% down. So if you buy a $200,000 home, you have to put $20,000 down on it, okay? So keep that in mind. Also, if your credit score is higher than a 580, then you only have to put 3.5% down, which is really good. So with that same $200,000 home, you only have to put $7,000 down. So that is really good for those people that want to put less money down. Again, if you could put more money down, you guys, you can avoid that PMI. That 150 can pay a bill, like a whole bill, you guys. Keep that in mind. And I'm not playing about that. I just don't want to have it. I teach you guys about these different things. You need to know the basics, and then you need to figure out how to avoid these different things and how to pivot around it. Now, if you guys have a credit score under 500, you can't get a loan. FHA, they go all the way down to a 500 credit score, but a lot of lenders would not even give you a loan because lenders could have even more requirements for you. But this is what the FHA loan, you guys, remember, you can get a house with a 580 credit score and put 3.5% down, okay? If you guys have a credit score under a 580, a lot of lenders, they really wouldn't want to do it, but some lenders probably could do, but you have to put 10% down. The higher your credit score, the better your interest rate. Remember, your credit score is going to dictate your interest rate. You want to have a very good interest rate. 1% or even a fraction of that percentage can change your mortgage by a lot of money, you guys. I'm going to teach you guys about that because it blew my mind when I learned how to calculate a mortgage on hand, like by hand with a calculator. I'm like, what? And then you just change the percentage by 1. So I want to teach you guys those different things, but let's go ahead and talk about the Experian Automotive in episode 22. I'll see you guys there. Hey, beautiful people, it's Rickita, and this is Credit 101. We are doing episode 22, and with this episode, we're talking about the Experian Automotive. Now, with this, all this is it's just showing, how many people get loans depending on which credit score they have. So if you guys were to look at this report, we're going to check out the website, but if you guys were to look at it, about 20% of people that get auto loans have a credit score over 781. 40% of the people have a credit score between 661 and 780. 20% have a credit score between 601 and 660. About 17% have a credit score between 501 and 600. And about 3% have a credit score below 500. Now, this is the website where you can actually check it out and look at what it is. But a lot of people don't understand that it's a lot of companies that get data from us, and we don't understand what data that they want, what they're going to look for. But this is something for a lot of companies to go ahead and purchase and to look at. So that's why I want to show you guys this, just so that you guys can be aware of the different type of companies that want these type of reports. So here is their website here. So here is their website. So this is the Experian Automotive report. As you can see, they're basically going to be marketing to dealers, auto loan lenders. So this is what people in those type of industries are going to look at. They want to know vehicle history, vehicle market statistics, also credit services. So this is just another website. Like I said, the companies are looking at. You can see a few articles. So if you guys are in this market, or if you're having problems, maybe you want to find out, is there anything that's on these special reports that could be stopping you from getting a certain type of loan? So definitely go ahead and check out that website. This is episode 23. In this episode, we're going to talk about how you can get your credit score for free and when you are able to get your credit scores for free. Now, we talked a lot about other places where you can go and just get it for free on like Aura, Identity IQ, and places like that. With this one, I want to show you like in what instances can creditors have to get your credit reports and your credit scores for free. So if you guys apply for a residential mortgage, they're required to tell you what your credit scores are. So if you apply for a mortgage, if they pull your credit and they're using that to determine if they're going to give you a mortgage or not, they have to tell you what your credit score is. So that's the free way you can get your credit score. Another thing too, if a creditor take adverse action against you, like if they was to refuse to give you an increase, or if they don't give you the credit limit that you thought that you were going to get, they have to tell you what credit score you had. And a lot of times, like if you apply for credit cards, you're going to get a letter in the mail, or maybe sometimes they'll show you, or they'll email it to you, like Capital One, sometimes they email it to you. They'll say, hey, this is your credit score, and this is the bureau that we got it from, and this is the range also. And they tell you can get a copy of your credit reports for free just because they denied you. So definitely check that out. if a creditor raise your interest rate, that is a reason why they'll have to give you a copy of your credit score. They'll have to tell you what credit score you have, which will let you determine, should you even continue to be with that company, or they'll tell you, hey, we raised your credit score because we raised your interest rate because you had a lower credit score. So keep that in mind. They have to give you your credit score when they do these different things. Now, some states require that creditors disclose your credit score, and I kind of told you that when I talked about Capital One. They have to say what your credit score is. If they get your credit report to your credit score and they use that to factor it in for any reason, they have to tell you what score they got for you. They have to tell you, okay, this is the score that we got for you, and now we're going to do this, this, and that. So keep that in mind. Now, beware of the credit trials. I know I talked earlier, one of the earlier episodes, we talked about getting your credit scores and credit reports for free. Beware of these credit trials, especially if they have, like, you can get $1 for 7 days for Identity IQ. If you don't want to purchase or continue to pay for Identity IQ, you want to make sure you cancel it before that trial is over with. Because if you don't, they're going to charge you $21.99 if you're using my special link. Or if you go directly to the website, they're going to charge you $29.99, and that's not what a lot of people want if they want to cancel it in the first place. So keep that in mind, but that's how you get your credit scores for free. Don't forget, you can always go on Credit Karma and look at your credit scores too. This is episode 24 of Credit 101. My name is Rickita. We're going to talk about, should you ever pay for your credit score and when you should pay for it. Some people just think that they need to know what their credit score is at all time. And if you need to know what your credit score is and you just want to know like a roundabout number, just check Credit Karma because it's free. But there are some instances where you'll need to really know, like, what's your FICO score. In those instances is, if you're repairing your credit, you kind of need to know what your credit score is, because you need to know if your credit score is going up or down. Now, usually if you guys are repairing your credit, you want to see your credit score go up, but you need to know exactly what you're doing. Okay, so say if you were to say, I need to pay off my debt, you need to know, if you are paying down those credit cards, how much your credit scores is going up. You need to know these different things. So if you're repairing your credit, you definitely need to know what your credit scores is. And you also need a copy of your credit reports. Also, if you're thinking about applying for certain credit cards or applying for credit in general, so that you want to get a mortgage, you want to get a house, you want to get a car, then you really need to know what your credit score is. I don't want you guys to just go ahead and apply for these different things without knowing what your credit score is. So at that time, you might want to pay for your credit scores, because Credit Karma can give you your TransUnion and your Equifax credit score, but it's not going to give you your Experian credit score. So you may need to pay for your credit score, pay for your credit reports to know what's on your Experian credit score. Some people also get the Experian app. They can get your credit score. So you could compare your credit scores using all three of those and determine if you want to just go ahead and apply for whatever loan it is. But sometimes you want to just pay for all three credit scores, all three credit reports. Now, I want you guys to look for free websites. I told you guys about Identity IQ, where you can get the free 7-day trial. It's not technically free. You're paying $1 for a 7-day trial. So definitely check that out. I should have that link down in the description. Also, I told you guys about Aura. They had a 14-day trial. Just do Aura/Rickita. You can get the 14-day trial there to look at your credit score. Plus, they have fraud protection. And then Credit Karma. I told you guys about that. Now, again, those free trials may help you guys out a lot, because you can see what's on your credit score, your credit reports. If you ever have any questions, call or text me 833-Rickita. I'll be happy to help you. Welcome to episode 25 of Credit 101. My name is Rickita. So I want to talk to you guys about getting free monitoring for military service members. So if you guys are in the military, you active duty, then definitely listen up, because I want to teach you guys how you can get the free credit monitoring. So the FCRA requires that all three credit bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, actually offer this to you guys for free. Now, you have to make sure that you're an active duty military service member to be able to get this. If you're not, then you're not able to get it. But there is an exception. If you guys are in the National Guard, then you're able to get a copy of your credit reports and scores. And not only do you get this, you're also going to get notifications. So say if you do have something going on your credit, they'll be able to notify you about these different things. So this includes notifications. So keep that in mind. Also, you can place a freeze on your credit reports. Everybody can technically place a freeze on your credit reports, but this is something I'm just telling you guys about. So if you're not in the military, you're just watching this because you want to learn, everybody can place a freeze. You can call the credit bureaus and tell them to place a freeze. Experian, through the app, you can place a freeze right there, then and there. I told you guys about Aura. You can place a freeze on Experian right then and there. Equifax online, TransUnion online. you can place freeze. But make sure you guys, if you're out and about, you're not here, you're basically on duty or you're doing something, make sure you guys place a freeze because you do not want to have any fraud. And then also, if you guys want to avoid extra fraud, make sure you let them know. You can put comments on there and say, hey, I'm on active duty, I'm not applying for credit. That way that they'll see that, they're not going to extend credit. You can always take this off, but you want to make sure you put an active duty alert on there, especially if you're not applying for anything, just to make sure that you're not getting anything. Now, you want to make sure that you continue to review your credit reports, because if anything come up, you want to be able to see it right away. You want to avoid fraud. Sometimes you may see, oh, wait, I got a new credit card, I didn't apply for this. You can stop it right then and there instead of not looking, and in 2 years you find out that you got a credit card, they maxed it out, they didn't pay it, and now it's a collection. So you got to charge off and collection. So make sure you guys check these different things out. Hey, welcome to episode 26 of Credit 101. My name is Rickita. We're going to go over the free FICO credit score estimator. Now, this is free. All you have to do is go to my FICO's website. Here it is right here. And then you can be able to use this estimator to estimate what your credit score is. Now, here is the estimator. Let's go ahead and fill out some of this information to see like what's the estimate of what your credit score is. So let's actually just use me as an example. I have more than 5 credit cards. How long did you have a first card for? Output 5 to 8 years. How long ago did you get your first loan? My first loan was technically a student loan, so let's do 10 to 15. How many loans or credit cards have you applied for in the last year? Let's not lie too much. 6 or more. How recently have you applied for a new loan or credit card? More than 6 months ago. How many of these currently have a balance 0 to 4 besides any mortgage loans? What is the total balances on all loans on your credit cards? What is the balances on all other loans? It's besides a mortgage. Technically, I got a car loan. So let's put 20. Where did you last miss a payment? I never missed a payment. How many of your loans are credit cards past due? None. What percentage of the total limit? See, you guys, a utilization. So let's do 0 to 9. In the last 10 years, have you experienced bankruptcy? No. Okay, so this is their simulator. So again, start over and look at a few things. They want to know how many credit cards you have. If you have credit cards, they're reporting, that's good. How long ago did you get your first credit card? That's your age, your history. So they want you to have old credit cards. How long ago did you get your first loan? Do you have old loans on your credit reports? How many loans do you have or credit cards have you applied for in the last year? They want to know inquiries, and then they want to know if you messed up your age. So that's where that 6, that one I have to put the 6 on there. So how recently have you opened a new loan? Because if it's newer, remember, it's going to hit your credit. Your credit score needs to bounce back. So more than 6 months means your credit score probably bounced back. How many of your loans have a balance? Because remember, they want to know your utilization, your balances. You know, besides your mortgage, what's your total balances? I have an auto loan, so I have to put 20,000. Have you missed any payments? Don't have any late payments, you guys, because it's hurting you. I never missed a payment. How many loans are currently past due? None. You shouldn't have any of your accounts past due. Make sure you pay at least the minimum balance, but it's best to make sure you do this section here, because you know this must be the best one. You don't want to be 100% or higher. You want to be right here, 0 to 9%. But remember, I said that it was this last time they had me at 7 something. Let's see if I put 100. What would they say? In the last 10 years, have you ever experienced bankruptcy? Let's say yes. See what how long ago was your most recent negative? Okay, they didn't say this. Let's say it was over 3 years ago. See, look, having that bankruptcy and having that high utilization really brought down that credit score. So that's something that you guys can use. You can see like the different changes that I went through from just putting the information in there the first time, you know, compared to the second time. But definitely check that out, you guys. There's the website. I'll see you guys in episode 27. And in episode 27, we're going to talk about the different things that affect your credit, the different factors that affect your credit. I'll see you guys there. Hey, it's Rickita. We're going to talk about the 8 things that you can do to help your credit score. This is Credit 101, episode 27. Now, last episode 26, we did the FICO estimator where we estimated what the credit score was going to be. Now, I kind of want to break down the different things that you can do to increase your credit scores. Now, if you guys do not know these different things, please write them down. Like, this is very, very important. If you just follow these things, you'll be good. Okay, it's really very simple. So the first thing is you want to make sure that you correct any errors that's on your credit reports. and make sure everything is complete. So if you guys have additional names, address that shouldn't be on there, correct those different things. Make sure you correct any collections, bankruptcies, all those different things you might need to get removed. If it's collection or bankruptcy, it needs to get removed from your credit report, because that can help you increase your credit scores. You also want to make sure that you add positive new accounts to your credit reports. So if you guys do not have at least 4 credit cards, you guys need to work on adding those new positive accounts to your credit reports. Now, I recently, in the last estimator, we see that I applied for more credit cards. I applied for with my credit group. We did it together. We all applied for credit cards. We was getting approved for credit cards. It was great. That's what we do. But I don't want to keep doing that, you guys, because if I keep doing that, we're going to have another problem that we're going to talk about later on. But you want to make sure that you have at least 4 of them. If you don't have 4, you're hurting yourself. You're not really building your credit. And then you also want to pay your bills on time. Now, for me, my biggest thing was late payments in the past. And if I couldn't pay the whole thing, I didn't even want to pay the minimum, which was bad. So what I do is I make sure that all of my credit cards are set up so that I can just pay the minimum. I still go back in because I have a spreadsheet where I know all of my credit cards due dates, the balances. I still go back in and say, okay, I need to pay the statement balances so I don't get charged any interest. But I make sure that automatically you're going to pay the minimum. Just in case something happened to me or something, I know my credit going to be good. But I still go back in there to make sure I pay the statement balance. And that would avoid a lot of things, you guys. So make sure you have the minimum payment set up on auto pay. And then make sure you guys pay down your debt. Having too much debt, you paying a lot of interest on that. You want to make sure that you're paying down your debt. Now, I'm technically been getting bit by, I want to say getting bit by Dave Ramsey. I talk a lot about credit cards, but he helped me pay off my first vehicle within the 2 years, which is really good. I kind of stopped, but I'm back on it. I need to pay off my student loans. I need to do other things. That's what my goals are, you guys. So I don't want to keep debt around, and it's going to help your credit score in the end too. And it's going to make us you have more credit available to you if you want to use it for businesses or whatever you want to do. So make sure you guys are paying down that debt. Another thing, you want to make sure you maintain at least 4 credit cards. Don't only just get these credit cards. You guys have to maintain them. Make sure that you're not closing them. You want these accounts to get old. In the estimator, they want to know what's the oldest account that you have, because age is a big factor. That's why when people buy trade lines, they want to get old accounts. And trade lines, you guys, I think we talked about it before. We're going to definitely talk about it in the future if we haven't already. So definitely stick around. We're going to talk about those. And you want to make sure you keep your balance below 5%. So that's the rule that I follow, you guys. And also, you seen on there 0 to 9%. That was like the best one. So you guys want to make sure that you're following that and avoid any hard inquiries. Those hard inquiries are really going to hurt you. So you want to make sure that you're avoiding them, and avoid new collections being added to your credit reports. If you guys get a letter in the mail saying, hey, we have a new account for you. If you don't respond, we're going to add this account to your credit reports. You want to make sure you respond right away, because that new collection can really drop your credit score. I don't care if you're in the 800s. It's going to drop you down even more. The lower your credit score is, the less your credit score is going to go down. The higher your credit score is, the more your credit score can go down. So make sure you guys avoid these new collections. But if you guys do that, you guys would be good. Everything's set up on auto pay. You paying everything. You shouldn't have any collections or charge-offs or anything like that. You shouldn't be filing for bankruptcy because you're paying down your debt anyway. You don't really owe anything. We avoid so much by following these different steps. And this is something that I had to learn and something I had to implement. Episode 28, we're going to talk about the common errors in your credit reports. I don't want to waste any time, you guys. Let's dive right on into it. So the first set of errors is, I want you guys to know that there could be errors in your names, address, socials, employers. So I want you guys to go ahead and get your credit reports, see those different errors on there. Once you see those different errors, make sure you call all 3 credit bureaus and tell them to remove it. If you guys are working to increase your credit score, you're fixing your credit, trying to delete accounts, you really need to remove this information anyway. The additional names and addresses, because those different things are tied to your account. So you want to make sure you remove those additional ones from your credit reports, and that's going to help you guys out. Also, you guys can have mixed accounts due to identity theft. So sometimes you can see accounts that's on there. You're like, what is this from? This is not mine. You guys need to get that removed also. You can contact the credit bureaus, and you also send out dispute letters. I used to have a free identity theft letter. I'm going to make that back available to you guys. So definitely check that out. I'm going to make sure I have it pinned somewhere, or I'm going to have it on my website, Rickita.com. Just search identity theft letter, and you should be able to find it there. Another thing, you may have some of your ex-spouse information on your credit reports. Unless you got added as an authorized user or something like that, you shouldn't have it on your credit report. I don't care if you guys are currently married. If you guys did not get added as an authorized user on that person's credit reports, your spouse's credit reports, you guys should not have the information on your credit reports. So make sure you check that out. You guys may also have old accounts on your credit reports that's outdated. Make sure you guys get that stuff removed. Remember, certain accounts like collections can stay on there for 7.5 years, bankruptcies 10 years. So make sure you guys get those old accounts on there. The credit bureaus want them to stay on there forever because it's going to lower your credit score, and the lower the credit score is, the more they can charge for that credit report. Okay. Now, incorrect payment histories and status can also be added. So if you guys see any inaccurate payment history and statuses, you got to make sure you add that. Some accounts I look and see like, how are you late? Or how did it say you 30 days past due, but you don't have any late payments in your payment history? They need to update this because all of that is hurting your credit score. So definitely check that out. You can also see collection agencies re-aging your accounts. And re-aging your accounts is they have a certain amount of time that they can keep accounts in your credit reports. So what they're doing is they're adding more time onto it, making sure that these accounts are not, making sure that a report that these accounts are newer rather than older. So you'll see your last date of activity. Your last date of activity will be reported that month. And your last date of activity should be the first day that you became delinquent. And with collections, that should be on your charge off. That should be a date from your charge off. So your date open for collection should never be before their last date activity. Your last date activity should be an old date. It should be. If it's not, they're re-aging that debt. Another thing, account may look like it's closed by the creditor, but you actually closed it. That's a big deal, you guys. So make sure you guys update this information. Let them know that, hey, no, I closed this. So that is something that you guys should look at. And then also, last but not least, you may see accounts that said that you're still late on it, you still owe money. Make sure that those accounts say that you paid it because it's hurting you. And a lot of times if you're applying for a mortgage, they're going to include certain debts into your debt to income ratio. So you want them to show that it's closed or that it's paid, and make sure that the balance is reported correctly on those credit cards so that your utilization can correctly reflect. Episode 29 of Credit 101. In this episode, we're going to talk about discharge debts through bankruptcies and what can actually be reported. So if you guys have any questions, drop them down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them for you. So understand that you do not have to pay discharge debts that was included in your bankruptcy. So if those debts were discharged, you do not have to pay them. A lot of times creditors are not reporting the correct way on these debts, and you're trying to buy a house, you're trying to get a car, you're trying to get some credit cards, you think, let me just pay this, get this out the way. No, you guys, it is illegal for them to continue to try to get any money from you or even report these debts inaccurately. So please make sure you guys fight these companies if they're doing these different things that I'm going to talk to you all about in this episode. Now, make sure you guys make sure that all of the debts that you had, like the charge off collections, all of them says included in bankruptcy. You'll see these in like the different comments, but make sure all of the debt says included in bankruptcy. That way the creditors, when you apply for something, they'll know that that was included in the bankruptcy, and they cannot hold that against you as if you have to pay it or anything like that. And those that should have a $0 balance. Now, for those people that's different, like I filed for bankruptcy before, I had to get the thing removed. I don't want them to stay included in bankruptcy because when I get the bankruptcy removed, I want to easily be able to remove these accounts. But if I have a bankruptcy and I have all of these accounts that say included in bankruptcy, it's going to be harder to get that bankruptcy removed or even these accounts. So I want to make sure I attack that bankruptcy, and then I want to go back and fight these accounts. And I would like to fight all of the accounts just based off their reporting, but you want to get that bankruptcy removed first, really. And then once you got that bankruptcy removed, tell the creditors, hey, or the collectors that, hey, you don't have these as included in bankruptcy, and they're supposed to be included in bankruptcy. And then when they have that on there, then you can fight them an additional way. But call me. I can't really talk about too much of that here on how to really fight it this type of way, because I just don't know. I just don't want to say the wrong thing, you guys. But definitely it's a way that you want to do it. But if you guys are not thinking about, I don't care about fighting bankruptcy, or you can stay on my credit report, just make sure it says included in bankruptcy. So when you're applying for the house or car, they'll know that these are supposed to be at a $0 balance. And if it's not, then, and they refuse to update it, then make sure you guys mail in those dispute letters to fix those errors. That's the biggest thing. You can also call the credit bureaus to fix errors, but I just find that it's best to mail it. And then also when you guys are mailing in these letters, let's see if I have one here. You want to make sure that you're sending in all your dispute letters certified. Like here's a certified receipt from a client where I sent in some dispute letters for them. So you can see I had sent this certified to the credit bureaus. You will see a stamp on when you actually mailed it. And this is who I mailed it to. I mailed it to Experian. But you want to make sure that you mail it in because you'll have a paper trail, because if they don't respond in a certain amount of time, you guys, they have to remove it. So I like to have a paper trail. Hey, you didn't respond in 30 days. You're supposed to respond in 30 days. Delete this from my credit reports immediately. I'm getting a lot of results from those letters. So I want you guys to make sure that you send it certified so that you can't even say that, okay? And then you can back it up just in case they refuse to remove it. Now, make sure you guys contact a bankruptcy lawyer or your bankruptcy lawyer if they're not reporting correctly, just to see if there's anything on their end that you can do instead of trying to find an FCRA attorney that I'm going to tell you guys about. So just try to see if you can reach out to your bankruptcy lawyer if they're not reporting it this way. And remember that you have FCRA, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act laws, and plus the bankruptcy laws are in your favor. They are against this bad reporting, because a lot of times creditors think that they're going to continue to report bad, or collectors also that they're going to continue to report bad. You're going to end up paying it, and it's like they're trying to punish you, and that's not right, you guys. So they have laws against these different things. Now understand too, with the laws, they have laws for the FCRA, which is federal. You also have state laws. I don't know if you guys heard, but I had to sue a collection agency because I was unable to remove account, you guys. When I tell you I went through depression, I think it was last year. I could not remove this account. I got it removed for a lot of clients, but they would not remove it for me. And I'm thinking, like, this is a sign. I need to sue them. I end up suing them and settling with them, you guys. So understand that you have federal laws and you have state laws. I quoted state and federal laws. So they end up removing it to federal court, which means that, hey, we're in state court at first, but hey, no, we're going to go to federal court. And I was so nervous, you guys. But I continue to do my paperwork and my research, and we end up settling, which is really good. But make sure you guys understand you have state laws. And if you want to, contact an attorney, I'm not giving you legal advice. I know that further on, like when I go and sue other companies, I'm helping somebody else that's very, very close in my family to do this. We're only quoting state laws, because as soon as you quote federal laws, you guys, you're going to have to go to federal court. So it's better just to quote those state laws. But know that there are state laws that can help you with this also. And then reach out to an FCRA lawyer with additional questions. I can tell you guys about my experience if you guys want to know about it, but reach out to an FCRA lawyer if you have any additional questions on just the bankruptcy reporting or just any of your other accounts reporting. Now, the next episode, we're going to talk about your right to a accurate credit report and what actually can be reported, what can't be reported. So I'll see you guys there in episode 30. Hey, welcome to episode 32 of Credit 101. In this episode, we're going to talk about reviewing your credit reports for errors, incomplete data, and also prohibited information. So some information should not be on your credit report. So let's go ahead and review this information. If you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. It's so much information that shouldn't be on there. I made sure that I had notes right here just to make sure that I don't miss anything. So make sure you guys take notes on this, because if you hear something like, oh, that's on mine, check that off or write this down, okay? Because you need to know, okay, this is what I need to get removed. So when it comes down to personal information, you have to make sure that any incorrect names that's on there, sometimes if you get your credit report from Experian, you'll see additional social security numbers, date of birth, phone numbers. All this information should not be on your credit reports. It needs to be removed. Also, you may see addresses. Remove those addresses from your credit reports. You can call the credit bureaus and tell them to remove it. You can send a dispute letter in if you want to tell them to remove it, but it needs to be removed from your credit reports. And also incorrect or missing information or your employment. Sometimes you see in your employers on there. If you want to remove that, you can have it removed if it's outdated. Okay, so make sure you get this information removed. Also, incorrect marital status. If you have a marital status on there, since you're married or whatnot, or your current spouse on there, and you're not married anymore, that information needs to be removed from your credit reports. And I tell people a lot of times when you're repairing your credit, you want to get this personal information removed right away, because those additional addresses, social security numbers, and all those different date of births are probably the reason why you still have those negative accounts on your credit reports, because they're going to be attached to those accounts. And you're going to see that a lot with Experian, because Experian is going to have like identifiers on these different accounts. Sometimes you call them and say to remove tell them to remove an address, they're going to say, no, we can't remove it because it's attached to an account. It's like, what do you mean it's attached to an account? It should be attached to me, but it's not necessarily attached to you as account attached to those accounts. So you need to get them removed. Now, when it comes down to the public records, any bankruptcy that was filed by your spouse and not including you, they should not be in your on your credit reports. Also, any lawsuits that you are not involved in, that's on your credit reports. Any criminal records that are more than 7 years, they should not be on there. Paid judgments. We talked about judgments, tax liens, and all those different things. They shouldn't be on there also. So make sure you check these different things. And any don't forget bankruptcies. If it's outside the time frame, Chapter 7 can stay on there for 10 years. Chapter 13 is going to stay on there for 7 years. If it's outside those time frames, it needs to get removed because it's outdated information. So keep that in mind. Now, when it comes down to your credit accounts, if you guys have a spouse, if you're not an authorized user on their credit card or whatever accounts are listed, that should not be on your credit reports, okay? That is their account and is not yours. So make sure that's not on there. Any premarital debt that is your current spouse that's not yours, then you have to make sure that that is remove. Any inaccurate accounts. You say if you look on there, you see a negative account that's not yours, like a collection, that needs to be removed. It's prohibited from being on there. Any identity theft, basically, it had to be removed. So make sure you guys have that stuff removed. And make sure that all of your debts, if it's charged off, if it's completely charged off or if it's sold, make sure it's a zero balance and it's not saying that you still owe it. If you voluntarily surrender your car, make sure that it says that it was voluntarily surrendered and not just a repossession. So make sure that that's on there. If you close an account, sometimes you'll see that say the creditor closed the account. That's not true. Make sure it says that you closed the account, because sometimes companies see this, that they'll see that they close an account on you, or the creditor closed the account. Why would they close that account? It looks bad. So make sure that it reports correctly on there. Any adverse information that's so old, over 7 years, they need to come off of there. Especially, like I said, if it's bad information, they need to get that off your credit reports. If accounts have the incomplete or inaccurate payment history, guys, that needs to be removed off there. If they're re-aging your collections, those accounts need to be removed. Now, when it comes down to your inquiries, if you did not authorize inquiry, it needs to be removed from your credit reports. Inquiries can lower your credit score, so you want to make sure that you remove these inquiries from your credit reports right away. If the inquiry is over 2 years, work on getting it removed, you can call the credit bureaus for any inquiries in your credit reports and ask them to get it removed, and usually they'll remove it over the phone, okay? So make sure you just get these inquiries removed, because a lot of times, like I said, if you have these different accounts, it's being held against you, and you just don't want to have these accounts on there, especially if it's not supposed to be on there. So make sure you guys do that. A lot of times, if you guys like go to a car dealership, you'll see that you have so many inquiries. If you did not authorize them to do those 30 inquiries that they did, you need to call the credit bureaus and let them know that you did not authorize them to do these inquiries, and they need to remove them right away. And sometimes they'll say, well, you only doing one inquiry in a certain they'll say, we're going to do only one inquiry and they do 30, or they'll say, hey, you're shopping for a car, it's not going to hurt you that much. If you guys apply for certain credit cards, or if you're trying to get business funding, they don't want to see all those inquiries. So that is being held against you, whether you know it or not. So make sure you guys call the credit bureaus, author credit bureaus, and tell them to remove it from your credit reports, because it is being held against you. Episode 33. So in this episode, we're going to talk about things that was prohibited from being reported to the credit bureaus during COVID-19. Now, the reason why I want to still talk about this, even though it's 2023, is because some people still need to go back and fix errors that's on their credit reports. So the first thing I want you guys to understand is that they could not report anything or any account as delinquent if you had some type of agreement with them. During that time, we was able to call them, set up some payment arrangements, maybe say, hey, I'm going to not pay my next 3 payments, set up any type of agreement. If you set up an agreement with them, they were not able to report you as delinquent. So definitely double check to see if they did report you as delinquent and you had an agreement, because you can double back and repair those different months, especially if they reported you as late. Now, they can continue to report you late if you were actually late. So like if you were late, January, February, March, going into COVID, then they can continue to report you late. They can keep that as you were delinquent, okay? Now, they cannot mark you as continuously delinquent if you set up some type of agreement. So say if you were 60 days late, they can't say, oh, now she's 30 days, 120 days late, if you had an agreement. So if you set up an agreement with them and you were technically 60 days late, they can continue to report you at 60 days late. Now, they have to stop reporting you as late if you ever become that current. So if you become current on those accounts, then they have to update that and put that you are current and you're not late. So those are a few things about the credit report during the COVID-19 times. It is different for everybody, you all, when it comes down to these accounts. But I just want you to know, if you have some type of agreement, please make sure you guys double check and see if they had any type of late payments or anything that hurt your credit. Episode 34 of Credit 101. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the fact that you can dispute inaccurate and incomplete information on your credit reports. So we're going to go over what you can do, what the credit bureaus have to do when you send disputes, and how that whole process works. So the first thing is, I want you to know, whenever you send a dispute, the credit bureaus have an option to reinvestigate that account, but basically investigate it, look into it, see if they want to delete it. And if they're going to delete it, most likely they're going to reinvestigate it, look into it, or delete it in 3 days. So 3 days, usually they'll look at it and say, okay, you know what, this is supposed to come off. Let me just take it off. Or they may say, hey, let me investigate it. Now, if they're going to delete it, they have to make sure they tell you within 3 days, and they have to make sure they do that by phone or written communication, and they have to make sure they provide those documents within 5 business days after they delete that account. So usually after you send a dispute to the credit bureaus, they'll send you a letter in the mail letting you know what accounts they're actually deleting from your credit reports. Now, if they're going to investigate it, they have to make sure that they investigate these accounts in 30 days. And if you guys get your credit reports from annualcreditreport.com, which I told you guys, I would rather you not do that. You guys can get your credit reports from Identity IQ with $1 trial. I have that right below in the description on my YouTube channel. But you guys can be able to get your reports from them and not have to worry about the 15 additional days that you're giving the credit bureaus to actually investigate this account. So remember, if they don't investigate these accounts in enough time, say if they look at the account, they don't do anything, or the creditor don't respond, they're required to delete this account or these accounts, depending on how many you do, from your credit reports. Okay, so I tell people, try not to get your credit reports from Identity IQ, so give them 15 additional days. Now, the next thing is they have to make sure that they contact the creditor, whoever the account is being reported by. They have to make sure that they contact them within 5 business days of actually receiving that dispute. Okay, and they have to make sure that if you send any information in with your dispute, they have to forward that to the creditor. That's another big thing. And then they'll provide whatever results is within 5 days of the completion. So they have to make sure that they provide those results. But again, that goes back to those 5 business days that they have to let you know about deletions. If they decide not to delete it, they have to let you know what the results are too within 5 business days. And then also, if you're trying to get this done faster and you're on the phone with them, sending your disputes, I always tell people, make sure you send them out certified. Send them out certified mail and call them and say, hey, I'm trying to get a mortgage. I'm trying to get a car. Because sometimes some reps actually make it faster. They'll put a rush in for you. So just call and see if they can be able to do it. It's not guaranteed that they'll do it, but calling them won't hurt, especially if you do need to get this information rushed. You can also dispute your stuff online too, but I don't suggest it because you don't have a paper trail if you actually want to go ahead and sue the credit bureaus. But definitely contact an attorney about that. You can dispute certain things online. Maybe you have additional addresses and things like that. You can dispute that information online. That'll be fine. But I do suggest you just call the credit bureaus and tell them they need to remove this, okay, if you do have those different things. Again, I suggest that you do this by mail. Certified mail is going to be best in this situation. Now, we're going to talk about in the next episode, episode 35, what type of things you should put on your dispute letter. Like, what type of reasons would you put on your dispute letter? Hey, so welcome to episode 35 of Credit 101. In this episode, we're going to talk about the different reasons you can put down as in your disputes. So when you're disputing accounts, what are you seeing about these different accounts? Now, I have some listed here, and I'm also going to tell you some additional ones that you can put, and it really depends on what accounts you have. So depending on the account, you can put that account, this is not my account. That's something that you can easily put on there. You can just say, hey, this is not my account. And if you put that is not your account, then they will put the account is fraudulent technically, and then a lot of times they'll just remove it. Also, you can say that the account is unverifiable. Say if you send out a dispute letter, the first round, told you guys they have 30 days to respond. If they don't respond, you can double back the second month and say, this is an unverifiable account. You didn't verify it. And if you just put unverified and delete this account from my credit reports, I get a lot of results by doing that. A lot of accounts get deleted that way. Also, you can put that I was never late on this account. If you had late payments, you can put I was never late on this account, or you can put things like this account is reporting late that is an error. Please update it as paid as agreed. You can put different things like that, but basically you were not late. Also, you can put this account was included in bankruptcy. I told you guys, when you guys are working to remove bankruptcies from your credit reports, I would not suggest you update that, as this was included in bankruptcy, until that bankruptcy is completely off of there, because you can contact the creditor right away. And after you get the bankruptcy removed, and say, hey, you're not reporting this correct. This was included in bankruptcy. You're going against those laws. And then they can go ahead and remove it on their end. Also, you can put that this account is identity theft. You can just clearly say, this is identity theft. This is not mine. This is identity theft. And that's another way you can get it removed. Also, if you guys have medical bills, put that it's a HIPAA violation. That's something that's great if you guys have medical debt. Put that as a HIPAA violation. Don't forget, we have our rules that they cannot put debt if it's under a certain amount in medical payments. I talked to you guys about that previously. So make sure you all put on there too that this debt is too low to be on my credit reports. It has not been 180 days. They can't put this on my credit reports, or it hasn't been a year. They cannot put this on my credit reports. Those are a few things that you can put on there. Again, you can also, if it's a collection, I like to also say that they're re-aging this debt. This account is being re-aged. This account belongs to someone else. You can also put that. This is also untimely. This account is untimely. You guys did not investigate this in a certain amount of time. Delete this from my credit reports. There are so many things that you guys can put on this, but on your letters. But I always have this inside my exclusive membership where you can know all the different reasons, all the different letters, also that you can send in. Episode 36 of Credit 101. So in this episode, I want to show you guys all the different dispute letters that you all can send out if you guys are looking to remove accounts from your credit reports. So I'm going to actually share my screen with you all so you can see my website, Rickita.com, where I can show you some of the dispute letters. You can use these dispute letters, or you can find dispute letters and send them out on your own. So if you were to find some other ones, but I have a free one on here. So it's, you know, if you're looking for some, I have some free ones on here. With the free dispute letters, it's going to give you a basic dispute letter that you can send to the credit bureaus to remove like bankruptcies, charge-offs, collections. So you can send that one in. I also have a credit card list on here with my top credit cards that I love. Some credit cards I have and some that I just suggest that people go ahead and get to start building their credit. Also, you're going to get a dispute letter for those collection companies that's sending you letters in the mail saying you owe them money. You're going to get a letter to tell them to stop contacting you. Also, you want to get a letter asking them to show how you owe them money, because if you don't respond to these collection companies, they have the right to technically put it on your credit reports. But you want to contact an attorney about that so you can know all the different laws around that. And so I give you that letter for free so you can contact them. And then also you're going to get a letter to remove those inquiries from your credit reports. So you're going to get that in this free dispute letter package that's here. All you have to do is click right here, fill out the form, and then I'm also going to send you a free webinar where I talk about the how you can increase your credit score 60 points in 60 days. So definitely check that out. Now, when you come down here, you'll see that I have some different dispute letter packages also. So you can check out this package right here. It's late payments. So if you guys have any late payments, then this would be a great package for you. It's going to be letters going to the credit bureaus and also directly to the company that's reporting that late payment, which is really good. In that free package, I don't have a letter that goes directly to the company. All of these letters technically, well, other than the collection letter, but not to the creditor. All of these letters in here, they go into the credit bureaus, or they're actually going to that company. And it's only $27, and you're going to get 6 letters. So these letters will last you about 3 to 4 months. For disputes, and this is only for late payments. Also have the same letters for student loans, collections, and charge-offs. And also, if you guys have a bankruptcy, it's 4 letters for the bankruptcy, because you technically are not sending a letter to like an actual company for the bankruptcy. You guys can get a free letter. I believe there's a free letter in here for the bankruptcy. Also, you can send it to the courts, but that's about it. You really send out these letters directly to the credit bureaus for your bankruptcies, okay? But those are the letters that you can send out to remove accounts from your credit reports. I have a special going on right now because I'm trying to go live and show more people how to fill out these letters. So I'm offering 6 months of free letters. I'm going to be doing your letters on the weekends or whenever I'm live. All you have to do is get my mega dispute letter package. It's actually all the letters that I just showed you. All those letters are $27 a piece. If you actually get the package, you can get it for 65% off, and that's going to be my mega dispute letter package. You may find that you cannot get this right away. You may have to wait until after you contact us, and then we'll go ahead and let you get that package of letters. But go ahead and get your trial with Aura. Get your trial with Identity IQ. That's so I can have your credit reports and freeze your Experian report. And then I don't need you to complete an application. And then I can send out letters for you for 6 months for free. So definitely check that out. That's going to help a lot of people out that's not send out those dispute letters, but those are the different letters that you can send in to the credit bureaus to remove accounts. In that first letter, I think I also put in there that they're going to remove personal information. I really suggest you just call the credit bureaus and tell them to remove it. That really would be best, to call them and tell them to remove that information. Again, if you guys are looking for those free dispute letters, please go ahead and check it out or call us at 833 Rickita. We'd be happy to help you with this process. To episode 37 of Credit 101. In this episode, we're going to talk about some tips that you guys can use to remove your accounts from your credit reports and how to get more success. So when you're sending out those dispute letters, you want to get success with actually getting those accounts deleted. So a few things that I suggest is these things that I'm going to list. So one of them is make sure to remove all those different names and addresses on your credit reports. You may also see that they have different social security numbers on your credit report. Usually Experian will send you a full copy of your credit report. You'll see them on there. Also additional date of birth, phone numbers. Remove all of this information from your credit reports because they probably tie to delinquent accounts that you need to get removed. So make sure you remove it. You can easily call the credit bureaus and tell them to remove it. And if the first rep won't do it, I suggest you keep calling, because once you see these things are off, it's going to be a lot easier to get these accounts removed from your credit reports. Now, the next thing is I want you all to mail your dispute certified. So I showed you guys my little magic box where I actually put all of the certified disputes that I send in for my clients, or say if I have to send in something for myself. So let me show you an example. When I mail out anything, I don't care what it is, when it goes into the credit bureaus, I make sure that I send it certified. So here is a copy of a certified receipt. Now it is going to be additional for you guys to actually get this sent out. It's going to be additional money to send it out this way, but it's going to be very beneficial for you all to get that sent out. So I definitely suggest that you guys send it out certified. You can have a paper trail that actually got the letters. Okay, so make sure you guys send it out certified. Make sure you keep a copy of all the letters you sent out. I remember a lot of people, I used to give out this free letter at the library to help people repair their credit. Nobody took a copy of it. They actually just wrote all the information in, mailed it in, they got the account deleted. But still, sometimes they can reinsert that back in your credit reports, and you want to keep a copy of anything that you send them, just in case they decide to delete it, or if they don't delete it, you want to have a paper trail of what you actually sent to them. So make sure you keep a copy of all of the letters that you sent out, and also keep a copy of all your supporting documents. And if you can, send in those supporting documents. The supporting documents can show that you were actually on time. It can show that you paid. It can show too that they said that they were going to delete an account, but they actually didn't do it. So make sure you guys send in the supporting documents and keep a copy of it. And then make sure you guys follow up with your disputes by calling the credit bureaus. After you send in your disputes, you know that they have it. Just call them just to confirm, especially for those people that don't send it certified. Call them to make sure that they have them and that they're processing them, because you just don't know if it may get lost in the mail. Your certified disputes, even sometimes I do certified, those sometimes get lost. So I just want you guys to follow up to see if it actually got lost in the mail. And if it got lost and they didn't get it, then I want you to send out another one right away to them to make sure that they have it. And then make sure you guys send out multiple disputes. I have my free dispute letter that you guys can use on Rickita.com. You'll see it right at the top, the free dispute letters. That's just one letter that you're going to send to the credit bureaus. There are so many other letters that you guys can send, and so many letters you really do need to send. I usually suggest that people send out letters for at least 6 months. So make sure you guys are sending out these letters. This is not the end. You have to send it out more than once, okay? So make sure you guys are sending them out. Multiple disputes are better. And they also send letters to the creditors. So I showed you guys some letters for like late payments, charge-offs. It was multiple letters that you all can send out. I showed you guys all of those different letters. Make sure you guys are sending them out. So if you guys are not sending those out, you're technically hurting yourself by not sending them out. So let me show you guys my screen here on when I say multiple disputes. Make sure you guys are sending out multiple disputes. So if you go to the top, you'll see this is the free dispute letter that you all can get. And then these are the ones that have 6 letters in the package. So some of these letters are going to the credit bureau. Some of them is going to the creditors. And it's only $27 for a late payment removal package. So definitely check these out. I made them very, very cheap for you. And then I also still have the 6 months of free letters. If you guys get this package right here, it's 65% off. It's usually $197. You get all these letters for only $68. And it's going to be see all of these letters that you see here. If for some reason you no longer see this on our website, call us at 833-RICKITA and see if there's some way that we can still offer some type of package deal to you if it's no longer on the website. So make sure you guys are sending out multiple disputes. And then sending complaints to the CFPB, the Better Business Bureau, the FTC, if for some reason those accounts are not being removed from your credit reports. But those are some few tips on removing these accounts from your credit reports, some tips. So let's talk about the CFPB in episode 38. I'll see you there.